one of the greatest player of all time, and probably the best ever endgame player. Anybody who investigates his endgames can learn a lot. Also, though his endgames were played 20-25 years ago, and one can analyze it quite deeper with the computer, and it is worth to analyze him because Karpov is a fantastic player, but less so as a commentator. So he doesn't bother to explain his endgames very well. Generally, his games, he is not as subtle analyzer as Kasparov, for instance. And also looking somebody's games together, one can see his style of ending, his methods, how he tries to win. For example, it was a great surprise for me to notice that how often Karpov checkmates his opponents in endgames. And also, for example, he usually improves his king fairly late. Despite I knew most of his endgames, I didn't realize it before. And checking all those analyses with computer gave a lot of pleasure, and it's many people tell me that they didn't know that endgames were so exciting, and really a lot of very nice and very instructive endgames. Also, in Karpov games, many of his best games were played against lesser known people, or when he was a boy, and these games are not very well known. Even Kasparov in his predecessors, he starts analyzing his games at early 1970s, and Karpov played some fantastic games back in the 60s, very fine positional games. And sometimes, for example, he beat Polugaevsky at the quarter-final of the World Championship candidate tournament, but those games were not really great. And against some weaker players, he really produced masterpieces. And these games were not well analyzed, or were not analyzed at all. Interesting how the idea was born. I had a very short chat with former World Championship candidate Timman, and we talked about trainings, and I talked a little bit about Leko, and then Timman told me that Karpov praised Leko's endgames level when Leko was 13 or 14. And somehow we investigated Karpov's games a lot in the years I trained Peter, and somehow the idea came to give back something to Karpov for the nice endgames I saw from him, and what I already analyzed of him. Also, when I worked in Singapore, there was a Georgian lady trainer, Anatoly, and she is a great fan of Karpov, and somehow she gave me encouragement to do a book on Karpov, and this is the result. And it was nominated the British Chess Federation Book of the Year for the Book of the Year in 2007. Finally didn't win, but won the Guardian award of the Chess Book of the Year. I believe one can learn a lot from Karpov's ending, and also not only learn, he can have a lot of fun as well. And soon a book of mine will come out on Karpov's best positional wins. I hope that book will be a success too, and people will be able to learn from it as well.